child, did they warn you about the Boogeyman? The Boogeyman.
In 1980, the Boogeyman tried to scare audiences and managed to balk critics. A brother and his sister are targeted by the ghost of their mother's deceased boyfriend. Maybe it has something to do with the fact the boyfriend was stabbed back then from the brother seen by his little sister in the mirror, which is now a kind of host for the Boogeyman, randomly killing people because of who knows. The first Boogeyman made with a $300,000 budget, 35 million worldwide back. And is by far not as bad as the follow-ups or most of the other abominations from wannabe German actor-director Uli Lomel.
Drunk. Maybe then this will work better. So, back to the movie.
Some fearless reviewer like the Movie Void ignored all warnings and tried to make sense of his so-called movies, finding an explanation how something like Lomel's Daniel der Zauberer could happen and how this affects mankind as a species. This traumatic experience led to partial amnesia.
Now let's take a look at the Lone Wolf Club.
What kind of club? The name is Cub. Oh wait, the channel really exists now. Can I also join the club?
No, it's only for cool people.
Nah. Stupid Man got in 1983 a sequel, Boogeyman 2 Petting Boogaloo, in which the mirror spirit possesses the body of a manservant. This time without big studio involvement as a real independent production, Lomel was able to show his true vision, which means of course padding with many flashback sequences from the first film to even get to 80 minutes. And realizing in 2002 a director's cut redux version with stills and speed up scenes from the actual Boogeyman 2. And himself sitting in front of a camera telling the plot, partially staying in the same character he played himself 22 years ago. A director, of course, because that's the real art of filmmaking. I mean, of course, the plague meets cancer. But even the normal version of Flashback Man 2 has so many flashbacks, partially even within flashbacks he already flashed back to, making the viewer wishing for a soon death to be spared from the rest of this flashback holocaust. The same and even worse goes for Return of the Boring Man or Petting Man 3, the Flashback Man 2, Dawn of Pointless Man from 1994. It is also largely constructed around numerous flashbacks to the first movie and has even less qualities whatsoever. And that is saying something. I'm sure this movie killed more people, ending their lives out of sheer boredom during watching it, than the mother's ex-friend Ghost Mirror Man himself. Back then, part 1 and 2 were partially cut and also banned in some countries. This fact made me and my friend curious, so we risked a look, finding ourselves mostly fighting against falling into a sleep coma. But we recognized the ingenious score by Tim Krog, which is used in the first two movies and clearly their only right to exist. This of course does not go for part 3, which should be burned immediately and buried in sacred ground to avoid more boredom deaths by unsuspecting viewers. 2005 we got Stephen T. K's American, New Zealand, German production Boogeymen. In Germany also with the addition The Black Man. The PG-13 crap in which 2 TV icons are used in supporting roles. Xena plays very briefly the dead mother and Bones during the whole movie, an annoying shrink, made its $20 million costs worldwide more than 3 times back. It's about journalist Tim Jensen who, as a child, witnessed his father being dragged into the closet by the Boogeyman, resulting in him spending some time in a mental institution. On the advice of his shrink, he visits his former parents' house to overcome his fears. In the end, it turns out the Boogeyman actually exists and feeds on human fears, instead of going with a much more logical twist that everything is just his imagination. Jensen overcomes his fear, which defeats him, but actually not really. Time travel flashback man doesn't disappear until his voodoo doll is destroyed. This dull snorefest with completely uninteresting plot and pointless resolution pulls unsuccessfully off course all the stops from Grandpa's bag of tricks for annoying entertainment, like puke boring flashbacks, constant hallucinations, super lame CGI, annoying jump scares, constantly silly zooming in on some supposedly important objects, talkative ghost kids, to somehow build up an eerie atmosphere. But eerie is only its incomprehensible success at the box office. He got in 2008 with a new cast the direct-to-video sequel Boogeyman 2, in Germany with the addition When the Night Becomes Your Enemy. This time with a female lead and R rating, it plays mainly in a clinic, led by Jigsaw himself. Laura is admitted there to overcome her fear, because as a child she had to witness with her brother, just released from the nut house after successful treatment, how their parents were killed by a stranger. Just at this time the Boogeyman seems to take shape again in the psychiatric ward. Pussyman 2, When a Note Becomes a Movie, is solely due to its explicit gore scenes, not quite as boring as its predecessor, but that means absolutely nothing. The plot makes even less sense. For example, apparently no one on the night shift staff in what appears to be a completely empty hospital has a key or even the possibility to communicate outside if necessary. In addition, it is implied that the now dead Jensen from the previous movie was crazy after all, a serial killer, and only imagined the Boogeyman, who is now again supposedly a regular guy who manages superhuman things? Absolutely bullshit. In 2009, Boogeyman 3 is again a video sequel that continues the plot of part 2, in which it ignores everything from the predecessor as usual or brazenly invents alleged rules, events and happenings, as it just fits the script. Of course, the killer is now again a boogie ghost with magic superpowers, because why not? And again, the plot of the predecessor is completely unnecessarily rewritten with a newspaper article. Why the hell they constantly try to force to establish a connection to the predecessors? Here the first victim is allegedly director Jigsaw's daughter. If they revise their plot then anyway is beyond me. College student Sarah has to witness the alleged suicide of her best friend. This sets off a chain of horrific supernatural events. During her desperate attempts to warn the other students about the Boogeyman, he picks off one victim after another. Part 3 is the most boring of the new ones. Here too, it is claimed that the Boogeyman becomes a danger by believing in him. Yet completely uninvolved or established skeptics die, while established boogie believers are often spared. And why exactly are especially they trying to convince the others of his existence, so that their beliefs can kill them? Whatever. Similar to the old Boogeyman, the new ones mainly possess the ability to contradict themselves and the complete inability to entertain.